and well met, everybody. Welcome to Geek Thyself, a show by nerds, for nerds,
who love geeking out over random facts and esoteric trivia. My name is Heather.
I'm Russell.
And we'll be your hosts for this journey through the wondrous land of information. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Geek Thyself. And I waved hello, even though you can't see me.
I mean, we do that like with all of our actions, like our quotations.
I know.
And like, yeah, we're really bad at it, but it's fine.
I think it's partly because we're on video together, so our brains are automatically like, we're on stream, let's do emotions. But we're not on stream, we're just podcasting.
No. I don't know if the Geek Thyself is the right format for a video.
I don't
know.
I don't know.
I mean, just our face doesn't exactly,
Well, okay, it would be good for a video if we had it animated.
Yeah, but that's like a lot of work.
I know, that's the problem. We would have to do like much shorter talking points.
Or it's stop motion animation, like where the mouth is like basically like it's cartoon stickmen where our mouths just open as we're talking and then they close.
Yes, or talking heads, having the little owl and the little cat moving around as we're talking. Like, it would have to be something really simple like that, otherwise it'd be way too much.
Absolutely, especially if we put that out every week.
Yeah, oh my god, that'd be so much.
Yeah. And I couldn't do that. I don't know who would have to get to do that either.
But yeah, no, we'd have to pay somebody because neither of us can draw.
Well, I mean, I can draw stickmen.
Same, but that's not going to work well for what we're talking about.
I mean, we could draw stickmen, just have one with glasses and one with cat ears, and then they just bounce up and down.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That would work.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be quality content though.
No. Speaking of, our topic this week.
Quality content. Oh boy.
Since we went off on tangents again, like we always do,
it's fun.
Valentine's Day.
Yes, it is, because it's this week, or it will be when this episode comes out, because the magic of editing means that this was recorded not on Valentine's Day.
Right, but it's being released 2 days before Valentine's Day.
Yes, it is. And either way, I assume you'd be busy on Valentine's Day. Oh, actually, I've never asked. Do you actually care that much about Valentine's Day?
No.
No?
So.
Did you ever?
No.
No, that's fair.
No. So when I was in school, I cared a little bit because there's always a Valentine's Day party. So you care about getting cute Valentines to give to all your classmates. But that was really the extent of it. Beyond that, I've never really cared about Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I've never really cared too much about it either.
Yeah.
Just because it always felt very commercialized.
Yeah.
For one thing. So, oh yeah, these roses. Last week they were £10 for a dozen. Now they're 35 and you're gonna pay it. And tomorrow there'll be 35p. Yeah,
it's pretty ridiculous. And the other thing is too, Valentine's Day is 2 days before my birthday. So for me, Valentine's Day always had a slight sour note to it because I could never hold my birthday parties right on my birthday weekend because it was usually whatever weekend was closest to Valentine's Day, and people's parents would have plans and stuff, so we always had to work around it.
See, that's really interesting too, because mine's the 18th, just 2 days later. So we're very similar to that. So although we didn't really have too many parties to worry about, to be honest. I wasn't exactly the party going kid or the party hosting kid. Not really my thing.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I didn't have very big parties. Several years it was just a couple of people coming over to watch movies or something.
Yeah, that's totally cool. And also, I'm disappointed that this month isn't Friday the 13th, and it was so close. So close.
It was close. That is true.
I nearly had the thought of what if Valentine's Day was on Friday the 13th? I'm like, wait,
impossible.
It doesn't work.
Impossible.
Doesn't work. Oh boy. So yeah, I've never really cared about it. One, because I've never had relationships to care about it with, and the one which I've currently got, neither of us care either. So.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not trying to say that you shouldn't care about Valentine's Day. It's
No.
totally up to you how you feel about it. It just so happens that neither of us care.
No, I'm probably still going to spend time with my partner on that day, but I'm not going to do the whole traditional thing of doing something on that day. Is my point.
Exactly.
Like, I don't necessarily like the idea of being socially contracted into it. It's like, this is the day, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of it for me too, is like, if it was, you shouldn't be told once a year, this is a day you have to be romantic. You should just be romantic when you want to be romantic.
Okay.
I actually...
no, carry on.
One of my friends, actually, she and her husband, because they agree with what I just said, what they do every year is they do an anti-Valentine's Day thing.
Oh, nice.
So they watch bad action movies. Like, nice. They'll pick a different action star every year, and they watch some of their bad action movies.
Nice.
And then they go to Denny's.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah, like, that's what they do. They watch bad action movies and go to Denny's, and that's their Valentine's Day tradition.
Can't say I'm super familiar with what Denny's is, but...
Oh, God, I don't know of any chains in England that I could give you a comparison for. Do you guys have, like, IHOP?
No.
Okay.
But so basically, it's a cheap diner.
Essentially. Yeah,
I get you.
It's like an inexpensive diner chain that's known for primarily breakfast foods, like pancakes and stuff.
Oh, it's 8:30 in the morning and you're talking about breakfast.
Sorry.
No, it's great. So yeah, no, just Valentine's Day. I don't like the idea of having it just because of that. And I am also the biggest sappy person, hopeless romantic you're ever gonna meet. You think I can contain it for just one day? No, my partner tells me I'm adorable every other day, and I'm not even trying that. So, yeah, no, containing it for one day would just not work out for me. I'd physically combust.
Yeah, you'd explode. It wouldn't work well.
No.
But for those who do celebrate Valentine's Day,
yes,
you're aware it's on February 14th.
Yes,
every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely more of a Western Christian holiday originally. Well, somewhat. So the original Valentine's Day was, it's also referred to as Saint Valentine's Day. It's on February 14th, but the origins of the festival are actually from a Roman festival called Lupercalia. I probably didn't pronounce that with the right accent, but, close enough. So I did some research into Lupercalia, and it was an ancient Roman festival that was held on February 15th every year.
Oh.
And it was under the control of a group of priests called the Luperci, or Luperci. I'm not sure how you say it. It's Luperci. And the origins of the festival are a little obscure, but they suspect that it's derived from the name lupus, because that particular group of priests were thought to have been related back to sort of those she-wolf who nursed Romulus and Remus. And it was a fertility rite festival. They would sacrifice. This part's a little gross, so I'm gonna, temper it a little. But basically, they would sacrifice a goat and a dog.
Right.
On the altar, and they would use parts of the goat. To there's not a nice way to say this. They would use parts of the goat to, they wouldn't hurt them, but they would basically like hit the women with them lightly to mark them. And
you mean there? No, just in general,
just
hit people.
In general, they would walk through the streets, and they cut some of the goat skin into thin strips, and they would use it to kind of like anoint the women throughout the town. And if you were hit by this anointing goat skin, it was supposed to be something that would render you fertile for the next year.
Huh. Right. Okay. People had weird ideas about what caused fertility.
Yes, they did.
But why is right? From that story, the only thing that I got is why specifically a goat? Why is that the symbol of fertility?
I don't know.
When the phrase "hung like a horse" meant.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
But I do know that in 494 CE, the Christian Church under Pope Gelasius I appropriated the form of the rite as the Feast of the Purification. So they twisted it slightly from being just a straight up fertility rite.
So it's more about being pure and having like a good heart and that kind of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
But considering the church appropriated it, it's not surprising that they then chose the day before to become a saint holiday. Because they did that a lot. They would appropriate holidays where they could.
I really didn't know that happened much. I mean, I know there are saint days, but I can't say I pay attention to too many of them. Like I said, I think the main reason we know about St. Valentine's Day is because it's more shoved in our faces than perhaps some of the other ones. Ironically, you probably know more about St. Patrick's Day than I do.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I know about the American version of St. Patrick's Day, but my understanding is that is not exactly what goes down in Ireland.
I wouldn't have a clue. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So Saint Valentine of Rome. Okay. So. Oh, apparently the Saint Valentine of Rome, who died in 269. Sorry. So like that celebration became around 200 years later after his death, roughly. Yeah, like 269 to 496, 230 years ish.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and apparently there are numerous martyrdom stories associated with the Valentines. That seems a bit odd, but to be fair, love can make people do weird things.
I mean, yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
And there actually are, I forgot to mention this, there are some historians who don't believe that Lupercalia necessarily had a lot to do with St. Valentine's Day. At least, not directly, perhaps. But in part of it is that... Where'd it go? Sorry, looking at my notes. There are different martyrdom stories dealing with different Valentine's saints, because there's 3 different saints that are all Valentines, that are connected to February the 14th, depending on the legends you look into. The one that's romantic is that
is one from Rome.
Yes.
Who was imprisoned for performing weddings for soldiers who were forbidden to marry and for ministering to Christians, prosecuted under the Roman Empire. So basically, they spent their time marrying people who other laws would deem not allowed to.
Right, because at that particular time, that saint, so the legend says anyway, the emperor of Rome at the time had decided, for whatever reason, that married men didn't make as good as soldiers because they were worried about their wives and their families. And so
sure, makes sense in some kind of fashion, I guess.
Yeah, so he had basically put down a decree that, because he had a war going on, that young men could not get married. because in his mind that would make them worse soldiers, and he needed more soldiers. And this particular Saint Valentine, was like, that's stupid. These people are in love. I'm going to marry them, and kept doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because even if you can't marry the person that you want to marry, that doesn't suddenly make them not care about the people that they're like revolved with. That I think it's a very short-sighted solution to a problem that maybe doesn't exist. And also, like, if the last thing that you could do before you leave and go fight for your country is to marry the woman you love, isn't that something that people should be allowed to do? At least that's just my interpretation, I guess.
I don't disagree with you, but that particular emperor did for whatever reason.
I mean, on slight tangent, my character did that before they went into the abyss to fight ogres in D&D, but you know, that's a little different, I guess.
Yeah, just slightly.
It's a kind of war.
True.
But yeah, and on that fun little segue, tangent, whatever it call it, I think that's probably a good time to go for a break because we're already at halftime.
Oh,
because
okay.
we like to ramble, apparently. All right.
You know, a little.
Yeah, I mean, how many of our episodes are actually half an hour?
Of us discussing something?
Yeah.
Probably only the solo episodes, because anytime we get together, we go off on tangents.
Absolutely. All right, so yeah, and we just did another tangent to getting into the middle. Oh boy! All right, but it's fine. We'll see you all in a minute. All right, and then we'll continue talking about other myths and all that kind of thing. All right.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the mid-roll.
Hi, we're doing the thing. You know, the thing we always do.
Just like every week. So we're going to talk about our amazing sponsors, and I want to talk about World Anvil. It's an amazing website, worldanvil.com. It's the most robust campaign management software that exists out there online today. They even won an Emmy award for how amazing their campaign management software is. And you don't just have to use it for campaigns. If you're an author and don't necessarily play a lot of RPG games, you can still use the website because they specifically have a version of it that's for authors to build their worlds that they're creating for their stories, so that your readers can look and see how things connect and where the storylines are going and how this person knows that person, and help keep track of all the information. You can basically create a wiki of your story, or if you're doing a streaming game or just a game for your players, you can create basically a wiki of your game so that everyone can keep track of what's going on, and it's fantastic.
Well, that's how that's what it was originally designed for in the first place, wasn't it? Because of the owner's wife was writing a book and wanted a place to put all of that information, and then it turned into not only just world building, but story building, campaign management, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an amazing resource. It's got amazing. It's like when I filled it out for one of my characters before, the questions go into such detail that you'll think about things that you really didn't ever think that you'd need, but that's always a good thing. So yeah, it's a great website. Go check it out, worldanvil.com.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. And also sponsoring the Smith Network are Die Hard Dice over at Castle Die Hard. They create gorgeous, stunning, magnificent. Ooh, Heather showed me dice, which are Die Hard Dice. Yes. They're still in the packet, so we don't get any ASMR crackle, unfortunately, this time.
I have other ones I can do that for.
Oh. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Fun dice.
This is some other metal dice.
Yes, you can tell from the lovely clinking, which are basically their flagship product. That's what they focus on. They created their own molds for them. The numbers are easy to read. The colours are striking because they designed them all in-house. And they colour test them exclusively, and extensively. Like they've like gone back to the drawing board, like on a couple of dice sets because they weren't happy before they came out. So yeah, you can find all the sort of colours you'd like. You can also find from their mixed series, which they keep adding to, of like dual colour spellbinders.
Yeah, so pretty.
So pretty. I love them. I don't bother looking for metal dice anywhere else because I just love them so much. Well, Converted Shogun love them too. They also have like their great accessories like the Scroll of Rolling, which can hold 2 full dice sets and a couple of extra dice, and rolls out to be a good dice rolling mat. That's what I meant to say. That, which, you know, D&D on the go, D&D in a portable way, it's amazing. I love it. If you have a look around and you find anything you like, you can use the code Geek Thyself to get 15%, that's 15, off your first or your next order with them. There's free shipping in the US and there's discounted international shipping, so if you want to roll with the best, all you need to do is go to dieharddice.com.
Yep, I actually used the code to get my dice so that I got a discount.
Oh, which ones did you get?
Oh god, I don't remember the names, but they're pretty.
Is it like Silver Moonstone or something like that?
I think one of them might be. So I got this wispy set that's got blue and purple swirls through it.
Oh, the wispy ones are nice.
And then I got this sparkly one that's got a little bit of like wispy purple and iridescent white through it. And it's all sparkly. Yeah. And then I got this, it's purple.
Oh wow, so many dice.
Yes, I like dice. Purple and blue swirled with sparkles.
Yeah.
And they sent me a set for free as a gift, which is really nice. It's something they do quite often if you order a few sets, but they sent me a free one, which is an iridescent and pearlescent white.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's kind of a purpley pink and yellowish green iridescent to it.
I like it.
But they're very pretty.
Yeah, one of my favourite sets of dice is actually a free one they gave when Kyle ordered me some for my birthday. And it was the Purple Moonstone set they just announced, and my god, they're so pretty.
They really are.
They've got really deep purple numbers, and they sort of shine, which like Moonstone. I don't know how they really did it, but I love it so much. And now that we've finished rambling on about them just a little bit, we'll get back into the episode. But to be fair, they deserve a bit of rambling, so it's not a big deal.
Gorgeous dice.
Yeah, right. So we'll see you back with the talk about loving things like we love dice. I mean, who doesn't love a good dice? Or 17.
And, actually, as you say that, I'm like, if I got dice for Valentine's Day, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, who
Just
wouldn't
saying.
be happy with that? Yeah. Mike, I hope you're listening.
He actually doesn't listen to our episodes because usually he hears me recording it.
You know what? That's fair.
So, in terms of the Valentine's Day we know, it actually started, like, at least the way we know it, instead of just a feast saint. I can't talk today. Instead of just a saint's feast day.
Yes.
It actually started more during the 14th century. So many years later. Because Geoffrey Chaucer started writing about romantic love. And, hold on, let me go back. Let me go to my note on the Geoffrey Chaucer part. I have to find it. So Chaucer wrote, "For this was on Saint..." It's spelled very strange, but it says, "For this was on Saint Valentine's Day, when every bird cometh there to choose his mate." And the poem was written to honor the first anniversary of the engagement of King Richard II of England to Anne of Bohemia.
Okay, I know why you said Richard III, because that was the one from the Wars of the Roses.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're already getting pulled back into that.
Yeah, so February 14th was referred to as a romantic day in this poem, and Chaucer was very big at the time.
Yeah, it goes on about calling them lovebirds, which is still a phrase that we use quite a lot today.
And that was followed later during sort of like the... it started in the 14th century, but it carried on through into like the 18th century. There started to be less of a focus on courtly love and more on romantic love.
Yeah, because I'm not really sure what the Charter of the Court of Love. The earliest description of the 14th is okay. which is called lavish festivals attended by several members of the royal court. So basically, it's like a way of getting people of the right sort of social standing together, I guess. Like, or is that's what it used to be, I guess. That makes sense.
So, and then Valentine's poetry also started to be written around that time. The earliest surviving Valentine is one, it's a 15th century rondeau. I can't speak French, so I might butcher this if I try. Written by Charles, the Duke of Orleans, to his wife. Are you better at French than I am?
Je suis d'amour tani, maîtresse de look Valentine. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't have a translation in front of me, but I believe it basically translates to, like, you are my love, my sweet Valentine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting from that. I took history. I took French for 5 years, and that's about as much as I could tell you. I know je suis is when you're describing someone. So, but yeah, French is not my thing. It's a very romantic language, but I don't know it.
Yeah. And then the earliest surviving Valentines in English are in the Paston letters, written in 1477 by Marjorie Bruce to her future husband, John Paston. My right well-beloved Valentine.
And Valentine's Day is apparently also mentioned ruefully by Ophelia in William Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Ophelia.
Ophelia? Oh. I'm not cultured. And then there's... Yeah. So yeah, and that's Act 4, Scene 5 is when it's mentioned. And it's tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning bedtime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes and ducked the chamber door, letting the maid, that outer maid, never departed more. Ooh. Did the maid die?
Okay, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Ophelia or Hamlet. Ophelia dies.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. I genuinely had no idea.
So if I'm remembering correctly, this particular verse is like foreshadowing.
Oh, or I mean, it is also in Act 4. I don't know how many acts there are in a Shakespeare play, but most things only have 3 acts, right? Or am I totally off base with that?
I'd have to. Hamlet, Shakespeare plays usually have quite a few, but I'd have to look.
Oh, fair enough. I only ever did the sort of the abridged versions in, like, when I was doing my sort of acting for them in high school. So I really have no idea. John Donne used the legend of the marriage of the birds as a starting point for his epiphlamination, maybe. Epithalamion. Epithalamion. Your guess is as good as mine.
Epithalamion is what it looks like.
Epithalamion. Hey, if you can get that, fine. I will trust your word. Celebrating the marriage of Elizabeth, daughter of the James I of England, and Frederick V, Elector Palatine, on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. And that's a long one. We don't need to read that one.
No, we don't.
And there's some things that may seem more familiar to everyone, such as one of the original poems, the original version of Roses are red, violets are blue.
Yeah.
It can be traced back to Edmund Spenser's epic The Fairy Queen from 1590.
And spelt how fairy should be spelt, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. It's Faerie.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote, "She bathed with roses red and violets blue, and all the sweetest flowers that in the forest grew."
Although blue is not representing the colour of violets, it's actually about them blowing in the wind, I guess.
I think they just spelled things differently back then.
That's potentially it. You know what? Maybe.
There's a lot of weird spelling. I mean,
that's not how you spell blue anymore.
Chaucer spelled Valentine's Day like VOHL.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if you fast forward to modern times, the tradition of celebrating Valentine's Day as a romantic holiday has continued from the 14th and 15th centuries when it became really popular.
Yep.
And over the years, people, of course, found ways to monopolize on that by creating Valentine's Day cards and candy boxes.
Roses, yeah, like red roses that you can pay exorbitant prices for. And, you have to go out to a nice restaurant in, yeah. I was actually a little bit about the UK. Since the 19th century, handwritten notes have given away to mass-produced greeting cards. Yep. In the UK, just under half of the population spend money on their Valentines, and around £1.9 billion was spent in 2015 on cards, flowers, chocolates, and other gifts. £1.9 billion on one day. What the heck? My gosh.
Well,
in the mid-19th... also, am I the only one who thinks a handwritten note is way more romantic anyway?
No, you're not wrong. It is.
I mean, not in my handwriting, because it's trick and scratch and you couldn't read it, but that's not the point. The mid-19th century Valentine's Day trade was a harbinger of further commercialised holidays in the US to follow. As we've just talked about. Is Valentine's Day a big deal over there? Or not particularly?
Here in the US?
Yeah.
It definitely is. Like, we're not even in February yet when we're recording this episode, and there's already Valentine's Day stuff everywhere.
How long's it been out, though? Like, has it been out since the start?
Since after New Year's.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But it's about the same here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know, looking at some of the stats that we have available in front of us. Okay, so according to this, in 2017, the expenditures on Valentine's Day were over $18.2 billion here in the U.S.
Yikes.
Yep. Which is insane.
What?
But it's interesting because there are countries that have variations of the tradition, well, what we think of as traditional stuff. Because, like, for England and the U.S., I think the traditions are pretty similar. It's like candy, cards, flowers.
A day, that kind of thing. Like, normally a nice sort of dinner, like that kind of thing, Yeah,
but there's other countries that have slightly different variations. The one I'm most familiar with, shocker, is Japan.
Oh, really?
In Japan, it's actually different. So, I don't know about in England. I know over here in the U.S., Valentine's Day is one of those holidays where it's often emphasized that the man should do something romantic for the woman. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much how it goes here. Or the man is the one sorting out if they do, like, a day out. Like, they'll both exchange cards and gifts and that kind of thing. But normally the man will take the woman out. Yes, that's how it's portrayed here. Yeah, so in Japan, it's flipped.
Oh, really?
And they don't necessarily do dinners and stuff. So in Japan, what's done is actually the women give chocolates to men.
Okay.
And it's thought that one of the reasons this may be the case is that when companies first brought Valentine's Day stuff to Japan from the West, that one of the, like, there was a translation error from one of the people translating from, like, English to Japanese, and they got the campaign wrong and talked about the women doing it instead of the men.
Oh, interesting.
That's one thought. I don't know that they know for sure, but in any case, the tradition over there is that women give chocolate to men.
Okay.
And
and it also says like candies, flowers, and dinner dates are very uncommon.
Yeah, and there's varying degrees of this. So anyone who watches a lot of anime or reads a lot of manga will have seen this happening, I'm sure, at some point in something they've read. But in Japan, what happens is women, there's varying degrees of the kind of chocolate you give to people.
Right.
So for example, for my husband, it would be most expected that I would make some sort of really nice, really, not necessarily fancy, but really nice homemade chocolate.
Right.
And give that to him for Valentine's Day because he's my husband. He's important to me. It's a strong relationship, that kind of thing. And like a girl who has a crush on a guy will often do some sort of homemade chocolate and give it to him because it's like that extra effort and like, I made this for you kind of thing.
I get you.
Whereas if you're buying it like women are also buy it for their coworkers.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like when you're a kid and you buy the Valentine's Day cards for everybody in your class.
Like you get everyone gets a Christmas card. Yeah.
Exactly. So they have like little inexpensive token chocolate. It's actually referred to as where is it?
I'm not sure. But I was reading through that, and there was a bit about giving unpopular coworkers chocolate, and it's a specific brand of chocolate which is very cheap, and it basically says, "I'm doing this because I have to, and no other reason."
Yeah, well, it's not a specific brand; it's got a specific name.
Oh, okay.
It's called Chogiri Choco.
Okay.
Which this isn't what it translates to, but it's like ultra obligatory. So basically it's like there are some women who feel like it's like when you're a kid and you have to give the cards to the whole class. Yeah. There are some women who feel like they have to give the chocolate to all their male coworkers.
And there might be some they're fine with it because they get on with them, but like these are like the ones that they don't give them, like it's almost an insult. It's almost an insult.
Right, exactly. It's like, you're still my coworker, so I'm not going to give you nothing, but I really don't want to spend a lot of money on you. Here, have this.
Yeah, and like it's kind of communicated in that. It's just like, yeah.
Right. But to be clear, too, like, if someone works, like, if someone's an office worker in, like, a, hundreds of employees kind of building, they're not going to give chocolate to every single male employee because
no, obviously not.
But they would give, like, in whatever
the
their department is.
Yeah.
Whatever their department is or whatever their section is, they would give chocolate to them. Or, like, if they're in school, like, some high school girls might get inexpensive little chocolate bars or something to give to all their male classmates. As like a giving chocolate to everybody kind of thing. But then they might save a fancy one for their boyfriend or for whoever
or
they
their
like.
Crush, yeah.
Yeah, and actually it's not uncommon in Japan for girls to use Valentine's Day as a day to confess to whoever they like, because they can give the guy a nice chocolate and be like, I like you, will you go out with me?
Oh, that's really cute. I've actually just read also in this, Japanese chocolate countries make half of their annual sales during this time of the year. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's more of like a social contract, so...
Yes, well, and there's also... girls will also buy chocolate for each other. And it's referred to as tomo choco, which it means friend chocolate. Okay. Choco is chocolate. So
Yeah. I got that right.
Tomodachi is friend. So tomo choco is friend chocolate.
Oh, that's sweet.
They'll give it to their friends. And the fun thing is that then in the 1980s, the Japanese confectionery industry realized, hey, wait, it's only the girls doing it this one day. We can make more money. So they have a second holiday called, they call it White Day. And it's
basically it's the other way around.
Yeah, and it's March 14th. And it's also referred to as a reply day. I did quotes, reply day. So the men then give chocolate to the women. However, the White Day, it's usually white chocolates. So like on Valentine's Day, it's usually milk chocolate or dark chocolate or whatever. And then on White Day, they'll often do white chocolate.
No one likes white chocolate. No, that's just my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of white chocolate, but I'm also not the biggest fan of dark chocolate either. I just like my milk chocolate, and that's fine.
Yeah, and it's interesting also because the date night situation that you would expect to have with Valentine's Day for couples is actually Christmas Eve.
Oh, really?
Instead. Yeah, Christmas. Yeah, spending the bigger deal is spending the night with your boyfriend or girlfriend on Christmas Eve and going out to somewhere Christmas Eve and not Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is just the girls give chocolate. White Day is the boys give chocolate.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they've cornered the market on making girls do it first. So, okay, that's really interesting. And I think that's probably a good place to end. Just looking at a different culture one, because again, we've done the thing where we've gone over time. But it always happens. You know this now. If you don't know this by now, where have you been? Even if you've only been listening since the start of this season, we do it every time.
I mean, yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Like 30 minutes. That's a guide. It's not a rule.
True.
But that's really interesting. That's really interesting that they've kind of.
Yeah, it's completely flipped from what we think of over here in like the UK and the US, and I'm not familiar with a lot of other international Valentine's Day celebrations, but being someone who is half Japanese and therefore interested in the culture, and also being someone who loves anime and manga, I've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
In the different shows. Like anyone who watches any kind of shoujo or reads any kind of shoujo manga or anime, which is basically the ones that are like not froofy, but like teenagers, and sometimes there's romance, and there's usually girls who have crushes, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, is that why the magazine's called Shonen Jump?
Yep.
Oh,
well, shonen is a different kind of anime and manga.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, we've got another topic.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. I'm not very familiar with anime, but I'd love to learn. Perfect. Yeah. All right, but yeah,
tune in next week.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah, but with that, we'll wrap up this one. If you are celebrating this week, we hope that you have a great time and don't get too caught up on just on what you do. Just spend the time with the people that matter to you. Yes. I'm going to be sappy right at the end of this because that's whatever. But yeah, I hope you have a good week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again next week with apparently maybe talking about anime. Well, I'm fine with it.
Looks like that.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Geek Thyself. Don't forget to check out all the other amazing content on the Nerdsmith Network. If you have any questions for either of us, you can get in contact with us on Twitter at geek_thyself.
You can also email us at geekthyself@nerdsmith.org. And please don't forget to go to iTunes and leave us a review, or also go anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
We'll be back next week with another informative and fun episode.
And until then, don't forget to geek thyself.